Um, Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent. He's won titles through the weights, undisputed now. And listen, if anyone can do it, it's him. I think the weight will be too much of an issue. Strong. I mean, ideally he wants to come where he feels best at. I'm sure he doesn't fight. He doesn't spar at 154 or never sparred at 147. So I'm sure he probably does his best work at around the 160 mark. But
the build-up to a potential clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford has been filled with strong opinions from fighters who have been in the ring at the highest levels, and Ryder is one of them. Ryder, a man who has shared the squared circle with Canelo himself, brings unique insight into what it takes to face the Mexican superstar. His recent comments have stirred debate because he does not just talk about Crawford's skill, but also the strategic approach he believes is necessary for any chance of success. Ryder points toward proven tactics, evaluates Canelo's long-standing dominance, and even addresses how weight could be the decisive factor. Over the course of several key statements, he paints a picture of a fight where Crawford is stepping into dangerous territory against a champion whose resume speaks volumes. As we break down Ryder's words, section by section, you will see how his analysis builds toward one clear conclusion. Canelo has all the tools to win this fight with relative ease. Before we dive into this detailed breakdown, make sure you subscribe to Boxy Hub and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the biggest matchups in boxing. Ryder begins his assessment by focusing on what he believes is a critical element for Crawford if he is to have any success against Canelo. Studying the approach that Dimitri Bivol used to defeat the Mexican icon, Ryder talks about the importance of in-and-out movement, referring to a style that keeps the fighter mobile and unpredictable. He draws a parallel to the type of movement you might associate with a game of cat and mouse, where staying elusive frustrates an aggressive opponent. The underlying point is that Canelo thrives against fighters who stand in front of him or engage too recklessly. Bivol's blueprint was all about controlling distance, forcing Canelo to reset repeatedly, and limiting his opportunities to land his most dangerous punches. Ryder also notes how some fans and fighters criticize this type of evasive movement, comparing it to running. But in reality, it is about discipline and efficiency in the ring. It is not about avoiding the fight altogether, but about picking the right moments to engage. For Crawford, who is naturally smaller and will be stepping up in weight, this kind of disciplined movement could be essential to offset the physical disadvantages. Ryder's point is clear. Without adopting such a tactical approach, Crawford could find himself trapped in Canelo's range, where the power differential will become painfully obvious. This is where the idea of following a successful model comes in. Not because it guarantees victory, but because it gives Crawford the best possible chance to make the fight competitive against a naturally bigger and stronger opponent.
In September, I think you just got to watch the Bivol blueprint, the in and out. I mean, a lot of fighters getting stick now for being runners, Tom and Jerry and whatnot.
Ryder then shifts his focus from strategy to the man himself, Canelo Alvarez. And here, the tone changes to one of deep respect. He talks about Canelo's exceptional talent and his unprecedented achievements across multiple weight divisions. Canelo's career is defined by a willingness to take on challenges at different weights and his ability to collect titles in those divisions. Ryder highlights that Canelo is undisputed in 3 different weight classes, which is a rare accomplishment in modern boxing. The point here is that Canelo's adaptability is one of his greatest strengths. Moving up or down in weight is not just about adding or cutting pounds. It is about adjusting your style, your timing, and your stamina to perform optimally in a new range. Canelo has done this better than almost anyone, consistently proving that he can carry his skill and power through various divisions. Ryder's acknowledgement that if anyone can win this fight, it is Canelo, is not an empty statement. It is a recognition that Crawford is not just facing a champion, but a generational talent whose resume and experience at higher weights give him a massive edge. The subtext is that Crawford's skill alone might not be enough unless he can match that level of adaptability and find a way to neutralize Canelo's proven strength.
Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent. He's won titles through the weights, undisputed now. And listen, if anyone can do it, it's him. I think the weight will be too much of an issue.
In his next point, Ryder calls Canelo a great fighter in the most straightforward terms, but he adds a layer of realism by noting that weight will play a significant role in the outcome. He is essentially saying that skill alone cannot erase the physical realities of the sport. Canelo has already proven that he can handle bigger challenges by fighting and defeating naturally larger men. Ryder expresses confidence that the Mexican star will do it again here. This is important because it frames the fight not just as a battle of skills, but as a test of physicality. When fighters move up in weight, they do not just face stronger punches. They also have to deal with a higher pace of power exchanges, increased physical wear and clinches, and the challenge of carrying extra weight without losing mobility. Canelo has navigated all of these obstacles successfully, which is why Ryder's confidence in him comes across as well-informed rather than biased. It is a subtle reminder that even if Crawford has the speed and ring IQ to trouble Canelo, the size and strength difference could tilt the fight heavily in Canelo's favor, especially over the later rounds.
Canelo is a special talent. And I think the weight will play a factor in the fight, but Canelo once done it and made the step up to super middleweight.
Ryder then reflects on how he would have preferred Crawford to approach this fight from a weight perspective. Ideally, in his view, Crawford would have gradually built himself into the higher weight classes rather than making a big jump. This kind of transition allows a fighter's body to adjust naturally to the demands of a new division. Building up gradually means having time to strengthen the frame, adapt the conditioning, and test yourself against progressively stronger opponents before stepping in with the elite of that weight. Ryder acknowledges, however, that boxing is not always about perfect timing. Opportunities can appear suddenly, and true greatness often comes from seizing them regardless of the circumstances. Crawford is doing exactly that by taking this fight. The implication is that while the jump in weight might put him at a disadvantage, his willingness to take the risk is a hallmark of a great fighter. This is where Ryder shows respect for Crawford's courage but still leaves room for the understanding that Canelo's physical edge could be decisive. The unspoken suggestion is that bravery is admirable, but in a fight where the opponent is already an all-time great in that weight range, it may not be enough to overcome the inherent disadvantages.
I would like Crawford to be more at light middle and middle to build into it, but you take these opportunities when they come, and that's what greatness is.
Ryder does not shy away from acknowledging Terence Crawford's skill and toughness in the ring. He makes it clear that Crawford is an elite fighter, a beast in his own right, and someone whose fights he has followed closely for years. Ryder specifically recalls watching Crawford defeat his friend Ricky Burns, and emphasizes that from that moment onward, he has paid close attention to every bout Crawford has contested. This observation serves multiple purposes in Ryder's analysis. First, it establishes that Crawford is a legitimate and dangerous opponent who cannot be underestimated. Ryder's familiarity with Crawford's career highlights his respect for the fighter's consistency and technical ability. Crawford is not merely stepping up in weight and hoping for the best. He brings a proven track record, discipline, and strategic prowess to the table. Yet, even with all of Crawford's talent and preparation, Ryder subtly reminds the audience that elite ability alone is not enough when facing someone like Canelo. The Mexican champion has faced and defeated fighters with similar reputations, ones who were considered unbeatable in their own right, and he has systematically dismantled them with a combination of precision, power, and adaptability. Ryder's words reinforce the idea that while Crawford is indeed a formidable competitor, his very best performance will be required, and even then, he will be contending with a fighter who has repeatedly proven that he can neutralize strengths that other fighters have relied upon. The takeaway here is that Crawford's history of dominance provides insight into what he can bring, but it also frames the challenge ahead. Canelo is not just any opponent. He is a multi-weight champion who has thrived against the very best, and that makes Crawford's task all the more daunting. Ryder's recognition of Crawford as a beast emphasizes that this will be a true test of skill, heart, and preparation.
Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent. I remember watching him beat a good friend of mine, Ricky Burns. Since that day, my ears pricked up and I took notice, and every time Terence Crawford boxed, I watched.
Ryder shifts his attention to a more tactical aspect of the fight, the importance of Crawford's approach to weight. He underscores that the outcome of this matchup will significantly hinge on how Crawford decides to present himself physically. Whether he steps into the ring at 168 pounds or slightly lighter could have a decisive impact on his effectiveness. Ryder's focus on weight is not merely about numerical advantage. It is about energy distribution, stamina, speed, and the ability to withstand the power of a naturally bigger opponent. Canelo's proficiency at controlling distance, landing heavy shots, and dictating the pace of the fight is enhanced when he faces someone who is not perfectly acclimated to the weight they are fighting at. Ryder is signaling that Crawford has a delicate balance to strike. If he comes in heavier, he may have the strength to trade blows with Canelo, but his mobility and speed might suffer. If he comes in lighter, he may retain agility and endurance, but could be vulnerable to Canelo's power. The critical observation here is that even minor variations in weight can tilt the fight in favor of Canelo, especially when combined with his experience in handling elite opponents at different sizes. Ryder's analysis makes it clear that Crawford's weight choice is not trivial. It is a tactical decision that could either maximize his chances or highlight the disparity between him and a champion of Canelo's caliber. The emphasis on preparation, body adaptation, and physical awareness frames the narrative that Canelo's superior preparation and prior experience in navigating these variables will likely give him a distinct advantage. Ryder presents this as a subtle yet critical factor that fans and analysts must consider when evaluating the potential outcome of the fight.
I just think it depends how he does it. I mean, is he going to come in at 168, or will he come in a bit lighter, maybe like a 163, 164, where he feels...
Finally, Ryder stresses the importance of Crawford fighting at a weight where he feels most comfortable. He notes that Crawford likely does not train or spar seriously at lower weights such as 154 or 157 pounds, suggesting that his natural optimal performance range is closer to 160. This insight highlights that Crawford's effectiveness is tied not just to skill, but to his physical readiness and comfort in the ring. Ryder implicitly argues that if Crawford Crawford deviates from the weight that best suits him. He risks compromising his timing, power, and stamina, all of which are critical when facing a fighter of Canelo's caliber. Conversely, stepping in at the right weight could maximize Crawford's chances of executing his strategy effectively, whether that involves speed, combinations, or countering Canelo's pressure. However, Ryder's overall narrative subtly reinforces the idea that even when Crawford is at his best weight, Canelo's experience in adapting to different sizes, exploiting openings, and leveraging power will likely dominate the fight. Ryder presents this point to remind viewers that while Crawford's preparation and adherence to his natural weight range are important, Canelo's proven mastery in handling opponents across multiple weights sets him apart. It is a nuanced acknowledgement of Crawford's potential without diminishing the reality that Canelo's skill, strength, and championship experience will likely prevail. Ryder's insight underscores that preparation is crucial, yet it also frames the narrative that Canelo's adaptability, power, and history against elite fighters in multiple divisions give him the edge, reinforcing the idea that the Mexican champion is poised to assert his dominance in this matchup.
Strong. I mean, ideally, he wants to come where he feels best at. I'm sure he doesn't spar at 154 or never sparred at 147, so I'm sure he probably does his best work at around the 160 mark. But
John Ryder's detailed analysis leaves no doubt about the stakes of this fight and the challenges facing Terence Crawford. Ryder acknowledges Crawford's status as a beast, his skill, and his achievements, but he simultaneously highlights how weight, preparation, and tactical execution could define the outcome. The narrative constructed through Ryder's observations points to a fight where Canelo's adaptability, power, and multi-weight championship experience give him the clear advantage. While Crawford may bring heart, skill, and discipline, Ryder's evaluation frames the matchup as one in which the Mexican champion is likely to control the fight, exploit physical advantages, and impose his will from the opening bell to the final round. The strategic insights, coupled with Canelo's proven dominance at multiple weights, leave the audience with the strong conclusion that Canelo will easily take down Crawford. This analysis serves as both a warning to Crawford and a reminder to fans that greatness is not just measured by courage or skill alone, but by the ability to consistently overcome the very best at the highest levels of competition.